We start the tour in Mount Scopus at the Desert Lookout Point. This spot allows us to feel Jerusalem's connection to the desert. The arid expanses reflected from here provide another view of the multifaceted landscapes of Jerusalem. On clear days, it is easy to identify the Jordan Valley and even the margins of the Dead Sea. This spot defines Jerusalem, between the grain fields and the desert, between the land that lies settled to the west and the desert that lies behind it. We are standing in front of the Augusta Victoria Church, named for the wife of the German Emperor Wilhelm II. The massive square tower exudes power, reflecting the German hymn, "God is our fortress." On the edge of the courtyard stands a sculpture of the Prussian eagle, symbol of the German Empire. In the interior of the church, you will note its eclectic decorations, like stone arches in the Mamluk tradition or Byzantine-style mosaics. The Carmelite convent behind the palm tree was built in the mid-19th century by Aurelia Bossi, who is buried next to the chapel, among the neo-Gothic arches of the beautiful cloister. The ceramic plaques inscribed with the Lord's Prayer are the most interesting element of the site. Some plaques are written in languages that are no longer used, others in spoken languages that have no written tradition, and there are even a few in Braille. The view from the Mount of Olives allows us to experience Jerusalem in all its glory. The city is spread in front of us with a breathtaking panorama that integrates different cultures and holds one of the treasures of human history. The Dome of the Rock, covered with a layer of pure gold, is one of the most ancient Islamic sites in the world. Muslims believe that this is the spot where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. Below us spreads the oldest Jewish cemetery in Jerusalem, with thousands of tombstones scattered around the mountain. The church in front of us is called Dominus Flevit, the Lord wept. Its architecture that resembles a teardrop marks the site where Jesus wept over Jerusalem and foretold its destruction. Dominus Flevit faces west toward Jerusalem. Through the picture window behind the altar, worshippers have a similar view of the Temple Mount that faced Jesus. We are looking at the Russian Church of Maria Magdalena, one of the most prominent on the Mount of Olives. It is said that the rounded domes were designed to reduce the accumulation of snow on the roofs. That was certainly useful in a Russian winter, but in Mediterranean Jerusalem, it is a mere decorative element intended to emphasize the Russian presence in the Holy Land. In front of us is the Church of the Tomb of the Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus. The church, which is entirely below ground, was in fact the crypt of the large Crusader church, later destroyed by the Muslims. Inside we get a sense of the Eastern churches through the decoration, the oil lamps hanging from the ceiling, and the icons hanging on the walls. The neoclassical facade of the Church of All Nations in Gethsemane recalls Greek and Roman temples. The four columns are representations of the four evangelists. The church interior is kept permanently dim in order to create a somber atmosphere in keeping with the anguish Jesus felt on the last night before his execution. At the Absalom Lookout Point, we can feel the ancient landscape of Jerusalem and get an impression of the Mount of Olives Cemetery's magnitude. At the gorge, we can distinguish a number of ancient graves from the Second Temple period. We conclude our tour in the observation point of the City of David. Here we can enjoy one of the most spectacular views of ancient Jerusalem, which throws light on the city that King David built right below us 3,000 years ago.